All right.
Let me pull up the email.
Awesome. All right, Ray.
Yep.
All right, here we go. What's up, everybody? Hi, everyone. Welcome to interesting edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland with Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez. As is customary with this show, we often plan things out and then all of a sudden things change, and that's exactly what happened. So what we're going to do is talk about the news that just broke about the locations and dates of the 2024 semifinals. But before we do that, we want to thank our sponsor for today, and that is Strongest. Strongest is an app that you can download right now for free. If you're like a garage CrossFitter, you're looking for a fitness program, this is ideal for you because they have all kinds of options in the app that you can select from. The app helps you attain a higher level of fitness and achieve more goals by reverse engineering the desired end state of each workout and delivering step-by-step training guidance to ensure you reach that end state. It's the only app with personalized pacing guidance that reverse engineers a timeline to guarantee that you achieve a specific goal in service to your training plans, and it's powered by a proprietary athletic intelligence engine. So what's really cool is that if you've seen our stories about this stuff, is that you download the Strongest app, you can go in there and you can pick any benchmark workout. You can pick from a bunch of different just fitness programs that they have on there. You can tell it how you want to attack the workout. So if you want to PR your Fran time, you can say, listen, I want to hit this time and this is how I want to break it up. And it will tell you exactly how you have to do that. If you're watching this live, you can scan the QR code in the upper left-hand part of your screen. It'll take you right there to download the app, or you can head to Google Play or the App Store and check it out. It's strongest.app if you want to check it out on the web. You can also check them out on Instagram, but download it. It's free. Mess around with it. Let us know what you think, because Matthew Russell, the guy who put it together, is just a workout nerd who's looking for, he is, and he's self-admitted. He's a numbers geek, and he's looking to put this out to the world. And, he wants to know what you guys think.
Features every day. Yeah, he's adding more features every day, and soon we're going to have our own little Christmas benchmark for TEF that we might be doing some fun giveaway stuff with.
There will be no running. There will be no running in that workout.
Yeah, we're thinking like a 12 days of Christmas workout, and there will be. Ain't no one got time for that.
Yep.
No running at Christmas. I already did that for Thanksgiving. I'm not duplicating that for another holiday.
There's no turkey trot for Christmas.
Yep. I met my quota for the year.
It's a Santa shuffle.
So this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is we're doing this part live because obviously this just happened. After we're done with this, we are going to edit this together with the interview that we did with Don Fall that Tommy and I did on Friday, and we will put that out both separately on YouTube and on audio if you guys want to check that out. But we want to deal with the matter at hand, and that is the locations and dates for the 2024 semifinals have now been released. And I mean, this is something that I've been saying or speculating for a while, and I don't want to get like too pat myself on the back, but I figured that CrossFit was going to get out of the business of running these things, given how much it cost them in 2023. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what we have in 2024. All of these are being hosted by outside organizations. So let's start with weekend number one. It's on your screen. Go ahead, Tommy.
I do want to say something that it is like they are reverting back to outside organizations like running it and hosting it, but they are standardizing the programming across the board. So yes, it is important that it's not, while a lot of the pieces are similar, again, we've kind of taken two different pieces from each of the last three seasons. So 21, 22, where, it was hosted and programmed by those events. 23, where it was hosted by CrossFit and programmed by CrossFit. Now it's hosted by those events, programmed by CrossFit. Everybody's going to do the same thing, which is a slight adjustment. As you can see, some people starting to realize where exactly the California West one is.
So we'll get to that in a second, because that's super exciting. But we'll
just Wex, I'm sorry, but we're not going back to Orlando.
Yeah, too bad. We still have a go-kart race we owe Wex, so maybe
we do owe him one.
I felt so bad about that. Like we were all just gassed. They didn't have time to do it. But Wex, go-kart race, man. It's going to happen at some point. Okay, let's take a look at this. So we're going to start May 17th. We got the Europe semifinal presented by the French Throwdown. That is the LDLC Arena. in Dessines Charpiot, France. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Ooh, nice.
That's 4 years of high school French right there, and that's about as what it got me, right? So tells you how much I paid attention in class. Asia semifinal by the Far East Throwdown. That's at Mexico, Centum City. I'm not even in Busan. That's week number 1. So Europe and Asia. Week 2, May 24th through the 26th. Oceania, Torium Pro is going to host that again at Rafter Arena. And then this is the one right here, North America West semifinal by the West Coast Classic at the Dignity Health Center. And in case you don't know what that is the old StubHub Center. So we're going back to Carson. So that's pretty cool.
AKA also the old Home Depot Center.
Home Depot Center, home of the LA Galaxy, right?
Yes.
And temporary home of the Los Angeles Chargers when they first moved from San Diego.
Yeah, I think LAFC also plays there now. But it's also, the campus, part of the campus of Cal State Dominguez Hills.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, I mean,
let the
going back to Cali memes with Biggie just start flowing.
Oh, yes.
Fantastic. And then the final weekend is May 31st through June 2nd, North America East, presented by the Syndicate Crown. The original email that went out had the location wrong, but they corrected it very quickly. It's at the Knoxville Civic Coliseum, which is where we were the last year, right?
Yeah.
I caught that one pretty fast.
I mean, just come on. It's hilarious that they got the location wrong. And now I get it because that's where it was the first year. So in 2021, we just had the MAC as one of the semifinal events, and it was at the Thompson Bowling Arena. 2022, the MAC and Syndicate Crown went back-to-back weekends. They did it at the Knoxville Civic Auditorium there. So I guess technically both had been hosts, but it's a big announcement. Make sure you get it right.
But to their credit, I mean, it was like a couple minutes later and the correction email came out. So
yeah.
But
yeah, so it'll be in Knoxville again. I don't know if you want to start digging into these or not, but
then let's the final one. You got North America East again, Knoxville, South America semifinal. That's Copa Sur, which is the same one, and then Africa semifinal presented by the Renegade Games, and that is in South Africa. So you got Rio de Janeiro for Copa Sur. So there you go. May 17th. June 1st, 3 straight weekends of semifinal action. And as Tommy mentioned, all programmed by CrossFit. So we're all going to do the same events, which I love. So
yeah, I think that's honestly the biggest thing is if they went back to, everybody can program themselves. I think that would be a step back where I'm okay with CrossFit not running these events.
Yeah, I prefer it because we get to talk about event records. We get to talk about that contiguous story from week to week. But okay, let's dive into this because in the email that was sent out, and I'll try to put this up on the screen here in just 1 second. They have a few more details, and that is the minimum amount of qualifying spots. So let me see if I can call that up right here. Boop. Hopefully that's the right one. Yep, that is. All right. So here we go. So we have the locations. When you go through this, we'll just go top down. Here we are. Okay. So the Europe semifinal, presented by the French Throwdown. 40 individuals, 30 teams. Minimum amount of qualifying spots. So this is where they start before we factor in strength of schedule, right? Strength of field, sorry. Still college football in my head. 5 individuals minimum, 8 teams minimum. All right. At the Asia semifinal, you'll get
just 8 teams. No minimum for teams.
Just 8. Sorry, 8 teams, period.
Yep.
Asia semifinal, 2 individuals minimum and 1 team. Oceania gets 3 individuals minimum and 3 teams. North America West will have 5 individual minimum and 7 teams.
I'm sorry. Can I ask a question real quick? Is that supposed to be men and women combined or 5 women minimum, 5 men minimum?
I think it's 5 each.
Yeah, 5 men, 5 women.
Yeah, it'll be 5 each. And then they'll add to that depending on strength of field.
Okay.
Let's see. North America East, 5 individuals, 8 teams. South America, 2 individuals, 2 teams, then Africa, 1 individual minimum, and 1 team. So the teams will not change, which means we got what? 8 plus 1 is 9 plus 3 is 12, 19, 27. So we're going to get 30 teams going to the games and 40 individuals. So there we go. Thoughts?
I mean, I kind of want to go top down, at least by the events. I think French Throwdown.
They've been hyping up their competition for the past month or so with a new location, and they've been teasing it. But in my head, I was just like, oh, okay, they're changing things up. It looks exciting. But then when did they release the dates? I think they did at the end of this month. Where's that post?
So I spoke with Daniel Chafee
on the 20th.
Last week. He is the former owner and operator of the French Throwdown. He's also the owner of CrossFit Louvre, which is has been one of the early gyms in Europe, in France. They've hosted, everything from open announcements since 2017 to being as one of the first sanctionals. Daniel is the international affiliate manager. He has since relinquished control of the French Throwdown to the rest of his team due to his work with CrossFit. And kind of speaking with him, he didn't give too many details, but he was pumped on the location. And you go look at it; it's in Lyon.
Looks awesome,
and it's a brand new stadium that opened this year. So it's going to be a state of the art, like premier type facility to host this European semifinal. And it's no consolation, obviously, for having 2. I know Europe rightfully wants multiple events, but if you're going to make a marquee event out of one spot, I think this is a great opportunity here. You're going to go to a pretty cool region in France. The weather should be nice, and you're going to have a state-of-the-art facility to compete in, which is cool. And I know, again, still it's only one event, but the event organizers are going to only be able to do as much as they can. And the French Throwdown has been a staple in the European community for a long time.
I don't think there's any shock that Knoxville got selected, given that they were extremely fired up about having the semifinals there a couple years ago. That's when we were at Thompson Bowling. We had Mayor Kane. Mayor Kane showed up.
Mayor Kane,
corporate Kane. Cool. And I know that they were really in on possibly getting the games there as well.
They were bidding. Yeah, they really wanted it. Really wanted it. Good to know that one of the issues a couple of years ago is that it was scheduled during University of Tennessee graduation weekend. Graduation weekend will be during the first week of semifinals, which will be all international. So won't have to worry about that, because that affected hotels, transportation, ticket flights, everything in that realm, because Knoxville is not the biggest airport. They still host massive sporting events, obviously, with Neyland and Tennessee football, but I think overall the timing probably works out a little bit better for some people as well.
But that didn't shock me. There was talk. I remember there have been rumors of the West Coast Classic that was going to be the host of the West semifinal, but the location was supposedly going to be Vegas. Like, that was the last I heard. I did not know that they were considering using the now Dignity Health Center for that. And there's some questions here about, does that mean that this tennis stadium is going to be used? Maybe.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, if you can't, I guess you could do it. I mean, it's just, you could run heats of 10 out of there. 4 heats of 10. That's doable, right? I mean, that's
in what?
At the tennis stadium.
Oh, absolutely. That's what they used to do.
Yeah. So I think I love it. I think this is like just a great kind of harkening back to the old days, especially as we come up. Like, we're not that far from the 20th anniversary of the games.
That's a good point.
Sheesh.
Right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think, because I mean, we'll be 3 years away.
Well, and I think the next thing that I'm curious about with these semifinals, and this is where I think the tennis stadium could be really cool, is how they're going to schedule these throughout the day, because there's a way I think you can do it to make it really fit nicely into sort of like a made for TV type of thing. And what I mean by that is if you took, we all know CrossFit's trying to save money and find a way to spend their money more efficiently when it comes to these things. And doing a broadcast of 10 to 12 hours can be extremely expensive.
Yeah.
What I would like to see them do is run the early heats in the morning, heats 1 and 2, individuals and teams for every event go in the morning. You take a break, you come back, you have like a 4 or 5 hour window where you do heats 2 and 3 for all the events, or sorry, 3 and 4, the marquee heats, and that's your broadcast. And you use highlights of the earlier heats to show people what's gone on. And I remember last year, Justin Berg at the time was saying, we want to use highlights to sort of bring coverage. And they did that in lieu of showing events live. I think this way you can still show all the events live, but you don't have to have that gigantic broadcast window that just bleeds you of your funds. That would be, I think that would be ideal to get like the most viewers and really get the most bang for your buck.
So since CrossFit isn't running the semifinals, will each competition be in charge of like finding their own means of broadcast and media?
Good question. TBD.
I guess I'm just I'm trying to think of continuous storytelling and if the competitions are in charge of doing that and if we will see similar types of live streams.
I would imagine that. Yeah.
My guess is that there will be some sort of support offered in that capacity.
Seems to be where CrossFit can actually be beneficial, right? Like,
okay,
is the funds for live streaming and some of the interconnectivity between events on storytelling, like the event stuff and like staffing, like most of those events know how to do that already. One thing to note, I think it's I would assume that the tennis stadium is the primary venue. The soccer venue is where the LA Galaxy play. I was just looking it up. They don't release the MLS schedule for next year for another 2 weeks because the draft is on the 19th, 2 weeks from today, and then usually the next day they announce the schedule. But typically they are in season during May. So there may be you may have to like time it depending on the weekend. If there's a conflict with the LA Galaxy, I would assume that weekend there probably isn't. They're out of town. But even still, my guess would be that the tennis stadium is the primary venue and that you can maybe run an additional event or something off to the side in the soccer venue if you need to. Based on what like your agreement with the venue is and not wanting to like tear up the grass.
Yeah. And I'm assuming this is Chase or Bill. But he's, it would be nice to use both. It would be nice to use the tennis the soccer stadium for an event, but then if it's all standardized, you got to be able to duplicate that someplace else.
Yeah.
Right. So that, if you do this at the tennis stadium, man,
tennis stadium's better anyways.
Agreed 100%. Like it is us. I just didn't know who's behind the keyboard, Chase, if it was you or if it was Bill.
But still, this is cool. That's so cool because there's such a huge contingent. I think the games left Carson in 2015 or 2016. My apologies. 2016. So in the past, 7 to 8 seasons, you have this whole group of new fans and people joining the sport that have never experienced that venue, that atmosphere. They've seen it in videos, and there's this kind of legend that has built around it. And now you get to go experience it firsthand. And I really hope that, and I would assume that if you're going to put that on the docket as your venue, that the West Coast Classic crew, which is Loud and Live, are going to try and set it up in a way that leans into the nostalgia, but also gives it an updated feel.
Yeah.
I've never been to Carson.
You never been to Carson?
That's crazy.
No, my first year to the games was when it was in Madison. I went every year that it was in Madison, but I came late to the party, I guess.
When you talk to people who have been to both venues, and people always ask, what did you like better, Carson or Madison? And they're two completely different experiences. Madison, when you get to the city that the games are going on, because it's all around. You see signage downtown, you see billboards as you drive in, the hotels are decked out. In Carson, you don't know you're at the games until you're actually on the site.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things going on in Southern California that they don't care. And the only hotel that is really decked out was the Marriott.
Yeah.
Near Manhattan Beach.
Manhattan Beach Marriott.
Yeah, and that they had all the stuff. But other than that, it was not the all-encompassing experience that it was in Madison. But when it comes to venues, like the Coliseum's great in Madison, but there's nothing that compares to lights on, crowd going nuts at the tennis stadium. I'm pumped that this is going to be part of semifinals.
I agree. Madison is a better host city. It was a better host experience, but the tennis stadium was by far the best venue. As simple as that. But
now we just need to see broadcast plans, how that, like Lauren said, what's that going to look like? Is each one going to be responsible? I don't know if there'll be some support given or not. And if there's going to be any sort of connective sort of studio show or something like that they do to help tie things together. Cause that's what I think would really bring this all together, is like on these weekends where there's multiple competitions, keep people updated as to what's going on. Like, so if you're on site at one, you can keep up to date as what's going on in the other. If you're watching one, studio pops in, says, hey, here's what's going on. I don't know if they have the means or the will to do that right now, but that would be the next step. But still a lot to be decided here, but we know when and where, and there's a ton to be excited about. I mean, I think you look at the partners, you have people like you said, Tommy, these guys are used to running events. They're used to running really good events. Wilson Pack and his crew for the MAC. I mean, those guys are great. Second to none. Loud and Live, we all know what they can do. French Throwdown, we're all aware of what that is, what they're capable of doing. So the semifinals are certainly in capable hands.
Yeah, the Torian Pro too, as they have put on an awesome experience down there for the last few years. It's every person who's gone down there for that event has come back, been like, man, this is a world-class event that they do as well. And it should be noted, I think the only international events,
yeah, that would be awesome.
The only, I think, was it Asia, Copa Sur, they're both in the same locations. The Renegade Games is going to be in a different location than last year. So that'll be an updated venue. So I'll have to do a little bit of research on that. Although it does say Emerald Resort and Casino, Sean.
That sounds nice.
I think Tommy's going to that.
Well, we talk about the locations. In order to get more butts and seats, it needs to be a destination. It needs to be a driver to get people to want to take off from work, get their friends, get their families, people from their affiliates to go and make it a true experience. And I think with a lot of these locations, they're able to do that.
Yeah. And I think the next question that I have is that now that these partners are running these events, will we see some sort of local throwdown component to these? It's hard to do.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, are you going to have a separate competition? So back in the sanctional days at the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge, they not only had the elite competition, but they had a community event going on as well.
So I think the French Throwdown is, because one of their posts on here, it says that they do have qualifiers. Like there's a qualifier in January, I believe. Hold on, I got to go to see translation. Registration opens, then online qualifiers, start of online qualifiers, and then the grand finale would be semifinals. So it looks like it'll be a hybrid model for at least the French Throwdown with community divisions.
And look, at Carson, you're telling me people would want to go compete on the soccer field?
Oh yeah, same with like when they hosted in Granite Games.
Yeah,
huge community event.
Yeah, so I think that's another thing that is kind of TBD, but I think would be a huge win for all of these events if you can find a way in the limited amount of time that you have to have some sort of community throwdown at the venue. Easier said than done, though.
Sure.
All right. Anything else we want to add to this?
I mean, I love the CrossFit Red Zone idea. Be a Scott Hansen.
I mean, I think the big thing that has been missing from these weekends is a way to tie these together, especially on the stream. Because oftentimes,
think about it. At what point did we find out that Guy didn't qualify for the CrossFit Games? It was not immediate.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, why wasn't it immediate? That was one of the biggest storylines happening in South America. And we didn't know until like the next morning. It just, there's got to be a way to streamline some of these events and the coverage of what are the big storylines, even just a quick update show of some sort.
Yeah.
And if because of time zones, it's always hard to line up. Like that was always a nightmare putting that together. But if you do structure it to where you have your marquee heats going in the afternoon, heats 1 and 2 in the morning, there's a way to do that.
There's some issues with fairness, though, competition fairness. Some significant issues with competition fairness.
Okay, so you think like from a floor standpoint, or just from what?
From both, from a timing and recovery standpoint.
In order to make it to bump up a heat, and I think we've talked about it before, but if
make
you're in an earlier heat, but then you do so well that you bump up into one of the later or more elite heats, and then your recovery time is significantly less than everybody else's, you're never going to make it further, but you're, like Tommy said, at a disadvantage.
Well, if you're in an early heat and you bump up to a later heat the next day, you're actually getting more recovery time.
Exactly, and that's not fair.
Pays to be a winner.
I mean, what about the person that started high and stayed high? They've been a winner more than that person.
I get it. I just think that I'm trying to figure out how CrossFit doesn't look at this and say, well, we can't support these streams because they're way too expensive to do. That this is a way to do it that would be relatively fair. There are going to be, recovery time. Sure. I get that. But this would be a way to fit a made for kind of TV event in a window to where you're not, losing your ass on costs and
I
paying
think
for a 12-hour stream.
Yeah. That's the line we're teetering right now, is what is the balance of fairness in sport versus growth and visibility of the sport, and where do you dip into one pool to sacrifice the other? Because if you want both of those, neither of them are going to be perfect.
1,000%.
Agreed.
And this also begs the question that if that's going to happen, or if that is even in the possibility of happening, this needs to be communicated, right? Because ultimately you're going to need the athletes to sign off on this.
For sure. I'd love to get Brent Fikowski's thoughts on that at the PFAA.
Yeah.
There's definitely, I can see why, Tommy, people would have an issue with that, but I can also see why, CrossFit doesn't want to pay for a 12-hour stream.
Even consider some of the events, maybe like Europe, right? Where there's a possibility of 12 spots going there. Maybe even same thing for North America East. But if you're in one of the heats, say you're hovering in that 19 to 20 area, right? And it's only the top 2 heats that get broadcasted, and you slip up or down, if you go up into that top 20, you get more time, and you are still within 7 spots going into a final day with 2 events. You're more within earshot of making a jump to qualify, and vice versa, even at 21. And you don't get that benefit. But if you went from 19 or 20 to 21, you just missed out on a ton of recovery because you went late into the night, and you got to turn around and go the next morning.
Well, define late.
Okay.
I mean, how late did we get out of these semifinals when we were working them?
Well, because a lot of that was like, I mean, if you
production,
I get it, but it is an absolutely valid point that will be discussed.
Sure.
It's not like they're getting out at midnight and they're showing up at 6 a.m. the next morning. Like, that's not going to happen.
I would feel better about it if CrossFit could be like, hey, this is the plan, and we want to section it this way to make it look like we have this very dense area of coverage, and it's going to highlight the top heats, and this is how we're going to try and mitigate some of that damage. And they have a very detailed laid out plan. I just don't know if they have anything like that, or have any plans to do that, or they even would do that at this point.
This
Okay,
is all
so
just
here's my
speculation,
question.
obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I have a couple of questions here. So
All right.
first, how many heats were there at semifinals last year for North America East or West?
4,
Was it
right?
like
They ran 4 or 5.
Say that again.
Did they run 4
how
heats
many
last year?
heats?
At North
thought it
America
was
West or East,
more.
I think they ran 6.
Yeah, it
That's
was.
what I
That's
thought.
right. There were 6 heats.
So then
'Cause
how many are they
in
gonna
some
be
there were
running
4 because they
this
were able to
year?
put 20 people out there.
Yeah. That's why
Or
they had
3.
the
Is it
horizontal field.
so if there were 6, is it now cut down to 4 heats this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Traditional, more standard semifinal.
Okay, so knowing that only athletes that are in the final heat will qualify for the CrossFit Games, and I don't want to be insensitive to athletes from this question, does it matter if there's less recovery time or more recovery time if it's not impacting who qualifies for the CrossFit Games or where the placement is for athletes at semifinals if that's the end of the road for them?
Say that again.
So what I'm thinking is the only the last heat qualifies CrossFit qualifies athletes to the CrossFit Games, correct?
Not true.
No,
Not
we
true. Well, last year if there was 11, then yes, the
Or
last
12
two.
or 13.
Yeah, we don't know
yeah,
what it's going to be this year after the strength of field calculation.
Okay, but even so just the final two. Oh, never mind. Forget my question.
Yeah.
You debunked me from that.
I mean, look, like I said,
Ignore the last 3 minutes.
This is all this is all just speculation. They could proceed as usual. But knowing how much money they spend on this stuff and knowing that they are trying to make things more broadcast and TV friendly, this to me is the next step. But there are obviously some hurdles you got to clear here.
But it's also like, how much money are they saving? From not being the primary operator.
True.
Also from not having to maybe shell out as much money as they were in Madison, because by all accounts they got a sweet deal in Fort Worth.
When did they announce semifinal locations last year? I feel like it was much
I don't think
later
it was this
than that.
earlier.
It was after the new year.
Yeah, I don't think it was this early.
I feel like it was in around Wadapalooza time.
Yeah.
So there's more heads up this time, which is good, which gives events longer to plan and hopefully get all of that situated.
And for fans to plan their trip, right? Like Wad Zombie brought up that NA West is Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day weekend in LA, like
hell yeah.
It's gonna
be fun.
The nice part about that is if you're gonna go to a destination location like LA, there's plenty of options for hotels. There's 4 airports in the area. 4, yeah.
And then Beck said Torian Pro is an hour away from Australia's theme park capital and some nice beaches.
Ooh.
All right.
There you go.
Let's go.
I'll go back to Australia in a second, man.
I've never been.
Neither have I.
It's just the greatest place.
Tommy, we got to get there.
Except everything there wants to kill you, except for the people. I saw a huntsman spider, and it was the closest I've ever been to fainting in my life.
See, that's where
a huntsman spider.
Oh my gosh! Don't.
I'm gonna Google it.
Don't. I saw one in our Airbnb at Manly Beach, and I almost fainted. Like, as close as I've ever been to fainting in my life.
Oh my god! This is like the Harry Potter movie.
Yeah. Nope.
At least the one in Harry Potter was Hagrid's pet.
But I know.
Yep. Almost burned the whole place down to kill it. So.
Wow.
All right.
They announced semis December 21st last year. Thanks, Wex. Okay, well, I guess they're pretty on par from last year.
They really aren't that. I don't care, Ivana. There was one in my Airbnb that had its own congressman, so that was like so big.
that's look. Spiders are like outcomes in Avengers Endgame. You just need one.
Oh.
One to ruin my day. Just one.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah, like I said, closest I've ever been to fainting. You feel that like I just felt the blood draining. I was like, so all right.
Yep.
Are they lethal?
I don't care.
I'm gonna let you Google that. I don't.
Yeah,
really
exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole.
All right.
Overall, if you had to give a grade on the locations for everything, like what would you guys say?
I'll give them a solid A-. And I mean, I don't want to. Yeah, I think it's great. I think I'm more concerned about the people who are running them, really.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they really knocked it out of the park. Yeah. I have faith in all those organizations.
Yeah.
I would agree. And I saw a little bit of controversy about in the comments about Knoxville, Tennessee not being east. I think it's east enough.
I mean,
I think it's a good
if you split the country in half and you look at where it sits, it's like,
yes, I think it's east enough. I think it's a great location that can get people out there to have some fun family adventures.
It's a good city, man. It's a good college town.
Yeah.
Julie, that is very, very, very wishful thinking.
Oh, Julie, I love you.
Yeah, not going to happen. If I
Sean,
qualified, it would be an online experience.
You're going to be in a different Masters division.
Yeah, I'm aging up, man. I'm the young guy in the 50 to 54 category. Road to quarterfinals. We're going to do a documentary. My road to quarterfinals is going to be great.
It's half of it's just going to be him napping in the
exactly. Oh man. All right. Yeah. Tommy, what would your grade be?
I actually was going to give him just a solid A. Yeah. Like I think between picking solid event partners, just in the hour or so that I've been able to research some of the locations, I think just from going back to Carson alone, I think this is a huge win, assuming everyone can execute, especially for West Coast Classic, who's going to try and turn around and run another event in that area in what, August?
Like a month.
Or September?
No, sorry. That's like, September. So 3 or 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, call up Annie Sakamoto.
Oh, yes, and go team.
We have the biggest disparity.
That would be the worm would be ridiculous.
Our combined
Annie and I would die on the worm with you too. You're too tall.
The combined height of our female athletes would be under 10 feet.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
The worm would look like a W.
I was gonna say it would look like yeah. Laura, what's your grade?
I would also give it an A because all of the things outside of this that I would rate on a scale, at this point, we don't have the information. So when it comes to broadcast, when it comes to ticket sales and the media behind it, those are what I have questions about. Location specifically and getting butts in seats because of the venues and what's around these. I think this is excellent. And how far in advance they've communicated it. Again, excellent.
So one question. Yeah. So we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait for the rule book to come out. So if anyone's just listening, she asked when.
Yeah.
She asked when we'll find out whether Tia is going to be in Australia or the US for semifinals. She said she'll go to Torian if Tia will be there. So we have to wait for the rule book to come out, which should detail when the application for region change deadline is. In which case, then that will be hopefully communicated for both when the deadline for application and when a decision gets made. Because I think honestly, both Tia and Ellie Turner are probably going to be applying for North America East and West. So we'll have.
And Roman.
Roman would be North America East. Yep. I mean, he got it last year, so I don't see why he wouldn't. Tia might just want to go compete back home. I don't know. I'd have to talk to her, but there are some athletes that were denied last year, but have another year of being over, either in the States or wherever they're going to be at. So,
all right,
yeah, pretty fun stuff actually. It's pretty good to see at least those locations, man. The West Coast one is going to be so sick.
I can't wait. That's going to be a blast.
I'm gonna have some. We're gonna have some PTSD from.
It's gonna be hot down there too.
Yeah, under being in the bowels of the tennis stadium at 2 a.m.
That'll be good. Okay, if you're watching this live, we're gonna wrap it up here. If you're watching this recorded or listening to it recorded, we are going to now move on to the interview that Tommy and I did last Friday with CrossFit CEO Don Fall. Obviously, last week was a big news week as well with the raising of affiliate fees. So we spent a lot of time talking to Don about that, talking about what they're hoping to accomplish with the additional money and some of the things that they still need to work on. So again, if you're watching this live, thanks for hanging with us. Really appreciate it. Great discussion in the comments as always. And if you're listening to this recorded or watching it recorded, up next, here's a conversation that Tommy and I had with CrossFit CEO Don Fall. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks so much for hanging out. Really excited about it. Any last minute questions? Happy to answer them here. If anybody has anything they want to talk about while we got you.
Oh, which ones are on the same weekend?
Do we want to do? Do you want to, since we're recording, do our quick PR on no rep?
Oh yeah, we could do that now.
Do PR no rep for the people. Sure.
You could just slap it on the back end. Oh, hey, Barkley.
Good. Yeah, you got a PR. All right. I guess we'll just.
I got a PR. I got a PR.
Are we starting with no reps?
Oh, no reps. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hang on.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
hold on.
We got to do it. I got to do an intro so I can cut this together.
Okay.
Like everyone's watching that. Okay. Here we go. Let's get into PRs and no reps. We always start with. We like to end on a positive. What no reps do we have here?
That was professional, Sean.
It was so professional.
Yeah.
I have a no rep.
Go ahead.
People mentioned this in the comments, but I actually had it listed as my no rep. I'm going to no rep the CrossFit Games team for their lack of support of the wheel log games, at least from what it seemed like.
I was a little shocked that I saw a couple posts.
I saw one post.
Okay.
On CrossFit Games, I didn't see
maybe
any
I'm being
on there.
generous.
Yeah. I saw one post on their feed. I just think that here's an opportunity you have for a new event partner that's going to be hosting the games, like to show some support in them with, posts and things like that. And they got one.
Yeah, there's one.
Okay.
So
that's just disheartening, to be honest.
Yeah. That's a no rep for me. Let's hope it improves.
I would agreed. Yeah. Because you're going to need to show a lot more support for that competition and a little less.
They deserve it. They deserve 100%.
100% they deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. Lauren, you got a no rep?
No. I'm going to be positive today.
I'm going to no rep the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm no repping the Eagles for their no show last Sunday and just getting thugged down by the San Francisco 49ers, who are clearly the juggernaut of the NFL right now.
Oh man,
that was a beatdown.
I was so conflicted that game.
I know you were.
Because it's my two least favorite rivals in sports.
Two awful fan bases. Just yeah.
But Lauren, when you were thinking about your no rep right there, you could have done a super zoom into your brain, and it was it was like a battlefield in war going on. And you're just like, nope, nothing. It was like, should I go nuclear on this? No, I'm good.
Oh, inside my brain, it's like a nuclear destruction happening. But what you see here, we're gonna keep the positivity.
Yeah. Shout out to the Leon of Detroit.
Yeah. Your no rep leads into my PR. All
right.
Mine?
No.
You didn't have a no rep.
I know that's what I'm confused.
On for the Eagles. I'm gonna PR Italians.
Oh, yeah.
Italians are having a moment right now because on the sideline so first off, Nick Sirianni, who's the head coach for the Eagles, the most Philly coach ever, by the way.
Yeah, Philadelphia was a person, it would be Nick Sirianni.
He wears the Italian flag on the side of his Eagles hat, and in honor of his heritage. But the Eagles chief of security, Dom de something.
I know the guy you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone calls him Big Dom, this gigantic Italian guy. During the game, Dre Greenlaw basically reverse suplexes Devonta Smith into the sideline pretty late, maybe a little excessive. Scuffle starts to ensue. Here comes this big old Italian man just separating the two. He gets in there to kind of separate things up. Now, whether or not he should have been there in the first place is a valid point, but he was like breaking it up. And then Dre Greenlaw like gets in his face and like throws his hand at him. I wouldn't necessarily classify it as a punch, because if that was a punch, that was pretty weak. It was like this weird, like, I need to put my hand in your face and I'm not sure if I want to hit you or not.
It's like a face wash in NHL, just like, whatever. You know?
Yeah. And Dre Greenlaw gets booted. Dom gets booted, but he instantly becomes like a Philly legend as this
We're gonna build that statue right next to Rocky.
Yeah, this gigantic Italian man just standing up for the Eagles. And like all these stories have been coming out. People have been super cutting highlights of his work on the sidelines. And I mean, that guy is never going to have to buy a beer in Philly for the rest of his life.
No.
So, yeah.
Lauren, PR.
Okay, now that I'm thinking of it, this is like a half PR, half no rep, because I'm gonna no rep the fact that Taylor Swift's team couldn't win on Sunday, but I'm going to PR the Packers because that is my team. I did want Taylor Swift's team to win because Taylor Swift is king, but good job, Packers.
All right. You know what? I'm going to PR going back to the tennis stadium.
Oh, yeah.
That's a huge win. Love it. Yep. Can't wait to see that. I mean, I hope they do. And knowing Loudon Live, they're going to have some sort of homage to those days. Fire off some fireworks, before you do an event under the lights, like something. There's going to be it's going to be a show, and I cannot wait to see that again on the floor. And I think it's really cool for a lot of competitors who started their games careers after we left, who are going to have a chance to maybe compete on that floor. I think it's big win. I'm going to PR that.
I would love to see Amanda 45 programmed as the opening workout for all semifinals.
All right.
And you get to have it on the tennis stadium as the updated version of the first ever workout that was done on that floor back in 2010.
That would be cool.
Super cool.
That's good stuff. And then we just have Jason Kleba come out and just punch a jib operator for
basically just throw a barbell
at somebody.
Just dissect the jib.
Yep. All right. Well, that's going to do it. A lot to talk about later on in the week. Lauren, you're actually going to be at FitFest in the UK. You leave tomorrow. Well, today's Tuesday. Yeah. So you leave tomorrow evening on a red eye.
Yes, a red eye Wednesday night. I get in at like 8 a.m. UK time on Thursday. And I will be with, I just got confirmation that on our show on Friday, we will have manager Snorri Barron and BKG on our show, kind of previewing FitFest. So that will be really fun.
Fantastic. Right. Usually record that on Thursday. Yeah. Bring those guys in. I don't think we've ever had BKG on the show.
I have reached out. We have coordinated with him to be on the show like 10 times, and every single time something's like popped up or fallen through. And
he is sharing an Uber with me, so that man is getting on the show.
Just handcuff yourself to him and be like, come on.
You will not leave until I get you on the camera.
Awesome. All right, guys. Everybody hanging out live, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate the comments. Appreciate the discussion. Thanks again to Don Fall for joining us last week. Enjoyed that discussion. And again, if you're watching this live, that'll be a part of the recorded episode. So that's it. Lauren, have a safe trip over to the UK. Tommy, I'll talk to you soon. Everybody, take care of each other. Be better. And we'll talk to you guys